Hi everybody, my name is Justine and I'm the Equality, Diversity Inclusion Manager, and I'm here today with Louise Thompson from Academic Registry, and she is also the chair of our Staff Menopause Network, and also Joanne White, who also works in Academic Registry. And the reason I've asked Louise and Joanne to come along today is that Louise was incredibly complimentary about the support that Joanne gave her as her line manager at the time when she started to experience what she now knows to be menopausal symptoms. And we thought it would be worthwhile sharing this because it might help other line managers in terms of how they support others going forward. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Louise, could you perhaps start by sharing your story in terms of what you were experiencing and how it manifested itself, particularly in the workplace?
Yeah, sure. Well, I was already on HRT, so I'd already been experiencing menopausal symptoms, but not to really any great detriment to work. A couple of months maybe before the crash happened, it started whereby I didn't feel as confident in my work that I used to. I used to have to read emails numerous times before I sent them. I couldn't make kind of quick decisions. I had to go over things and try and find the answer over and over, and really just lost confidence in what I was doing. So then I was off on holiday for a week, and that's when I call it the crash breakdown. Whatever happened, I started having panic attacks the first night of a holiday in Scotland with the family, and we drove straight home 4 hours during the night in order to get back home, and that was kind of the awful start of it for me.
You've described there what a lot of the women say on our networks, isn't it? This
Yeah,
confidence and the issue of confidence. So um, I'm sure a lot of women will identify with what you're describing there.
yeah, very much so.
So you had this really critical situation. So link
Yeah.
that now to work and how it connected to the support that Joanne gave.
Well, Joanne was my team leader at the time. Um, I messaged out, I think it was maybe a couple of days after, or maybe the day after, and said, and Joanne obviously knew I was going on holiday, and I'd said, look, I was back, and I can't remember the exact wording of the text, but it was kind of, I'm back, but I'm not going to be back at work. I'm really, really unwell. And me and Joanne have spoken about this. It was really hard to send that text because I was having anxiety. I was having kind of pretty much constant panic attacks. And so it was really difficult to send that text. However, I believe that it would have been so much worse had I not had that relationship with Joanne, with that supportive relationship with her.
So there was clearly already a very supportive relationship. Had you already shared with Joanne the symptoms that you were experiencing as well?
Not really, no, not leading up to the holiday. But me and Joanne had gone on a menopause laphology course, maybe a year prior to that, offered by the university. And so Joanne knew that I was on kind of a low level HRT. So we had spoke about menopause previously, yeah.
Yeah, we had we did talk about it in the office a little bit as well, especially after the laphology session, which was amazing. And for me, when Louise sent that message, I can remember going in the kitchen because my phone was on charge at the time and reading it and thinking, oh my goodness, how am I as a line manager going to respond to this? Because this situation what Louise is in is not good at all. And I'll be honest, I was worried about her at that time for a family to come home from the holiday for what was happened. Now up to that point, for me there was no change from what I noticed in Louise's work. and obviously Louise hadn't mentioned those things. The only thing that I look back on is I'd popped over to tell a couple of the staff some information, or we were talking about something, and we were chatting. Then I kind of turned around, Louise just had her head down. She's been very quiet today. And she thought, oh, okay. And now when I look back on that probably wasn't the only moment that Louise was very quiet. And then like things started fitting together from that aspect from then on in.
I think I was experiencing like a real lack of concentration, and we used to be in a big open office, and so there was a lot of distractions, and there was quite a lot of noise at times, and I couldn't concentrate at the best of times. And so when everything was going on, it was really overwhelming, and because I was having this lack of confidence, it was just impacting, I felt, on everything.
So let's bring it back, Joanne, to you, and then how you responded, because clearly how you responded really helped Louise in terms of how she felt about work, how she felt about her symptoms. So continue that story. So how did you support Louise going forward as her line manager?
I think going forward, one of the things that I did very early on was seek help from occupational support, and our fabulous nurse Sue Wynn, who Louise saw. I can't remember whether you saw it in person or over the phone, Louise.
In person.
Yeah. But I can remember at one point, because of the way that Louise was feeling and we were communicating from her, it would sometimes take some time to get a response from her, because like Louise and I have spoken about this. It was one of the last things she wanted to do was communicate with work, really for how she felt. And I can remember once ringing Sue and said, Sue, I'm really worried. Has Louise been in touch with you? Have you managed to speak to her? And she was just like, yes, I have. And obviously that, that's all as much as what Sue can say, but that kind of reassured me as well. So that was one of the things that I did. And obviously that's a fantastic thing that's available for our members of staff at work. I think now the way that we've evolved is that we've obviously had some training available. I think this past week or so. If anybody hasn't had that training, see if there's any available. Speak to Louise, speak to HR, just seek some advice about it, because obviously it's a very common thing, and with the demographics of the staff workforce that we've got at the uni in the age range, it's a huge thing for us at the moment. And I think one good question probably would be to ask is, as a line manager, is what can I do for you?
It's good to summarise, I think, what you've said there, Joanne and Louise, so far, which is you had a strong channel of communication open already. That helped. It enabled you, Louise, to be honest about your situation, utilise the occupational health support that exists within the university.
Absolutely.
Attend training. So we have a variety of different training that's available for staff and line managers to attend. Talk to Louise as chair of the staff network, which will both as somebody who may be experiencing menopausal symptoms, but also as a line manager in terms of guidance. And then within this, we'll also direct you to the guidance that we have as a university as well. And then at the end, your key message, Joanne, was to say, you ask the member of the staff, what can I do to help? That's really useful. So coming back to you, Louise, to sort of finish, as I said, I know it's hard for Joanne to sort of talk herself up, but if you could share perhaps how you felt as somebody who's going through a really difficult period to have a supportive manager, how did that make you feel about work and coming back to work and then maintaining the work that you do?
I think obviously I was lucky in that Joanne already had a knowledge of menopausal symptoms. And so for that reason, it would be really, not just from it, it would be really good if all the team leaders would be able to attend the training, just so that they can also have awareness of the possible symptoms of the staff. And it would be good if managers did the training, then they could have the confidence and the tools to simply ask the question, do you think this could be down to the menopause? Because a lot of the time people don't recognise that it could be. So it would be really helpful if managers or team leaders could do that, and also get the tools to help their staff. Because unfortunately, if they don't help the staff, they could possibly lose the staff. You know, the percentage of people that leave work. I did have a Google of some of the statistics, and so the Nuffield Foundation done some research. They said 72% of people in work feel that they're unsupported. 9 out of 10 say they're unable to talk to managers. 1 in 5 take time off work, and 1 in 50 go on long-term sick. So you know, the statistics are scary, really. What I found it easier was the lack of judgment was a very big thing for me. And the sense of understanding. And she wanted to help. And I didn't feel like she wanted to help in order to get me back to work. She wanted to help in order to get me better, which would in turn get me back to work. Joanne also got in touch with the counselling service. In one of our chats, she'd said, would it be beneficial? And I thought, oh, yes, it would be, but I just didn't have the energy to get in touch with them myself. So Joanne done that for me. And then I got a phone call of one of the counsellors. Just things like that. You know, she just went over and above what I would expect of a team leader, and it was just greatly, greatly appreciated. When I did come back to work, I came back on a phased return, which was useful.
So I think just as an employer, we've got to be supportive as what we can be.
Absolutely.
And especially when people come back off long-term sick as well, just because they're back in person doesn't mean that they're fully back. They might still need support to build up the confidence again because they've lost it.
Louise and Joanne, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for your level of honesty. I always find them when people are open, it opens the door to others being able to share how they feel as well. So I really appreciate that level of honesty. And thank you both very much.
Thank you.